Hello, welcome to another episode of the Mindful Introvert podcast. This is a podcast where you can get inspired and have a better understanding of your unconscious programs that run your life without you realizing. And by bringing them to light, you can heal and grow into an aligned and fulfilling life. I'm Joe from mindfulintrovert.com, an inner peace and abundance coach, and my purpose is to help you slow down, look inwards, and create a more peaceful life by learning to trust your intuition and exploring your spirituality at a soul level. And if you are fully committed to your growth, I have a special gift for you. Simply stay until the end to learn how you can have your very own free inner peace and abundance hypnosis delivered to your inbox and start reaping the benefits of a relaxed and peaceful life. For now, let's get on with the episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mindful Introvert podcast. And today I have a very special guest with me. I have Parm from Parm's Yoga, and she guides spiritual seekers through self limiting beliefs and past blockages and to higher states of consciousness. And she has such an amazing energy. And I just thought, yes, let's share her story and share her magic with you. And so, thank you so much, Parm, for joining me. It's wonderful to have you here today.
Absolutely. It's such an honor to be here. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Oh, so sweet. So tell me a little bit more about yourself for everyone listening that has not yet met you. How did you start on this self discovery journey?
Sure, absolutely. I think that I started the way that everyone else started. I mean, I started as just a normal person. I went to school, went to university, then I was like, oh, I have to get a job now, and I really don't want to. I feel like I didn't have, I feel like I've spent my whole life in school, and what about me? And what about what I want to do? And so it really, the seed started from there where I was kind of like, okay, I've spent all of this time just giving my energy, giving myself, giving all of me to, really everything around me. My parents, societal expectations, education, my university, school, my relationship, all of that. And I had never given anything to myself. And I was really worn out. So it started there. That was the seed. And I continued because I didn't know what to do about it. And I continued looking for this fulfillment that I was looking for. I looked for it again in my school, my education, in work, in my relationship, in family. I tried to be the best version of me that I could be. And, it still didn't resonate as much as I did. It was like, it was never enough.
Mm, I
Oh,
do
I
because
don't
I
know.
felt the same.
Yeah, it's honestly, you give and you give and you give, and it's just like, oh my God, when is it going to be enough? Like, when can I stop? I just want to stop. I just want to rest. Like, that's all I want.
Oh my God, I totally get you. Sometimes I just like, I just want there to be silence and space. This is all that I want.
Oh my God, yes, yes. Thank you so much. You know what? I took that feeling, and when I graduated university, I went to South America. I was like, forget it. I'm not doing anything. I'm taking that space that I need because otherwise I'm going to lose my mind.
Mm, that's so important because I feel like a lot
Honestly.
of people don't do that and they push through because they think that's how they should live their life or how society tells them to live their life, because we have to hustle and we have to stress out and we have to burn out, and then we are someone who is a serious adult and who is just has this, I don't know, it's just too much pressure. And sometimes I just want to be a kid again.
Honestly, and even then at that point, like it's not enough, right? Like even when you're at the brink of burnout, it's like the world still wants more. And I think the key here is setting those boundaries, finding that space and saying like, okay, I can do this much, like I'll meet you at this point, but after that, you're on your own. I can't do
Mm.
everything for you, and I just, I need to do this for myself. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
important.
I love that. Setting boundaries is so, so important that I feel like a lot of people struggle with. So, what would your advice be for those people who are struggling to set up healthy boundaries for themselves?
Mm, honestly, this comes from like trial and error is something that you absolutely need to do, because I think that if you're not at that point where you're ready to just like collapse, like you don't know the importance of it, right? I mean, it's super important to do it beforehand, but beforehand you're just like, yeah, but so and so needs this, and I should do that, and I should do that, and blah, 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 blah. But so before you get to that point, set some boundaries. Like ask yourself, like, what is my mind saying to this? Is my mind rebelling? Like is my, if I'm going to do this, is it causing this madness in my mind? Like, when you go to do something, and part of you is like, why am I doing this, and the other part is like, because I should be doing this, and you're just like, no, I should, you have this internal like internal crazy like cat fight just happening.
Yeah.
That's when you know that a huge sign that you should be setting some boundaries.
Yeah, yeah. And then people start to feel resentful. Yeah, because they're trying to help someone and then the other person doesn't value them back. Yeah, sometimes that can be tricky. So I think it also comes from us valuing ourselves first above anyone else,
Mhm.
which is not selfish, in my opinion. I think it's quite selfish doing the other way, just giving and giving and giving, and then there's nothing really to ourselves. That to me is selfish. What would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, it's like that saying, right? Like you have to put your own mask on before you
Mm,
can put on anybody else's, right? Like how can you help someone if you're like gasping for breath, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
It's that kind of
absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. So I know that you had a 9 to 5 job that you were not happy with. And so you made that change in your life and you search your purpose and you search your alignment. So you want to tell me a little bit more about that side of your life?
Yes, yes, I do, because that was the deciding factor. So I told you about the seed, and I told you about like some of the things that happened after that. Eventually, I came back to square one, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I did what society said to do. I went and I got a job. And I was like, okay, people do that, right? They go, they take a year off, then they come back and they work for the rest of their lives. And so I went and I was like, I can do this. I can do this. 2 months in, I was like, I hate myself. I hate my life. I don't know what's happening. And I kept quiet because I didn't know what else there was out there. Like I had tried everything, I had tried travel, again, my relationships. I had tried to find happiness in all of these places, but it just wasn't there. And really the brink, like I was pushed all the way to the brink with this compromise that I was making with myself, because I had this intense inner conflict of like, the world is telling me to do this, but inside I want to be free. I want stillness, I want space, I want silence. I want to do what I want, to find my way. I don't want to be told that this is the way. And the turning point for me was, I had gotten a little bit of a raise. Like, so I wasn't getting much money, and I got a little bit of a raise, and I was offered another job. I interviewed for another job that actually would have doubled my salary. And I took one day and I just sat there thinking about what I wanted to do. And I looked down the road and I was like, more money can never make me happy. I mean, it'll make me more comfortable, but at the end of the day, I'll still be compromising with myself.
Mm,
And so I really had two options at that point. And that was, okay, I can either continue down this road and compromise with myself indefinitely and be miserable the whole time. Like, I know I'm not going to be happy here. Every single day was a struggle.
mm,
Or I can quit and just figure it out. And I knew from experience, like from my travels, that going in with no plan is not necessarily a bad thing. Like it can turn into such beautiful adventures. And that moment right there, when I saw myself 20 years down the road, just miserably like typing away at a keyboard, I was like, no. I sat down on my keyboard, typed up a resignation letter, and I was like, yeah, send.
Oh my God, that's so funny. And so
Yeah.
inspiring as well, because I feel like a lot of people in our generation want to do that, but they feel just this pressure and a little bit of afraid, aren't they? They are afraid to what is beyond the resignation letter, what is waiting for them on the other side. And there's that the fear of the unknown, and it's almost like we believe we're incapable or maybe not even worthy of not having a life like is more common to work for the rest of your life, like you're saying.
Mhm.
So I think it's very inspiring. And now you've started your yoga practice. How did you start your yoga practice, by the way? How did you
So,
find yoga?
yoga, honestly, I love when people ask me this because it's such a beautiful way that it just happened. I would say that yoga found me. I didn't find yoga. All throughout my, let's say, starting in university, I used to see, yoga classes here, yoga classes there, and I used to go. It used to be interesting. It was always something that was like, I'm gonna check that out, because I really am not a runner. Like, if you ask me to run even 100 meters, I'd be like, nope, I can't do it. So, yoga was something that always spoke to me, and I remember even in my travels, there were people randomly in the small, tiniest little islands in the middle of nowhere doing yoga, and they would call me and say, come practice with us. And I'd be like, do I look like a yogi? And it's funny because after I quit my job, I had 2 weeks left on my lease, and I remember my building had a terrace that was like very silent. I used to go up in the morning, and you mentioned this fear of not knowing what's next. It is so real, like so real. I had no idea what to do with myself, so I'm like, I'm just gonna practice yoga in the mornings on that terrace when the world is silent, and yeah, and what really called me was not the practice itself, but the silence that the practice brought. It was I couldn't put my finger on it at that time, but something about it just pulled my soul in, It was like it was so magical. It was like afterwards I would feel like a different person. I would feel grounded. I would be happy. It's like that chatter in the mind just disappeared. It was honestly so beautiful. And from that point, from that day, I have practiced every single day. It's been like 2 or 3 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. And I can
Mhm.
definitely sense your passion from it, because when you started to talk about it, your whole face lit up. It's just like, oh. Oh, so and I'm curious, because you were saying, oh, it's such brought to you such a silence, and this is a very random question, but I'm curious, do you practice with music or without?
Good question. I practice, so I do mostly without, but sometimes I practice with like some chanting in the background or
Uh-huh.
but what I find is that with the music, in the beginning, it's nice because it kind of helps the mind come into stillness and feel the practice. But when you get deeper into your practice, what you'll find is that it keeps your mind up there, like with the music, when you really want the mind to come inward, right, into that
Mm.
stillness inside. So now, most of the time, I practice with that. Like I practice in silence early morning when the world is just like.
Amazing. And I'm sure you can connect with other sources of energy that way, because you're so much in connection with your own body, your own intuition, your own purpose, right? So that must be magical.
It is. This is honestly the goal. The reason I started Parm's Yoga is to share this. Like, I see so many people, where I was and just miserable, even people who aren't exactly where I was, but just living day-to-day life. And it's like there are people wondering, like, what is the point? And I'm like, guys, I found the point. Listen to me. Like, come practice. I'll show you what the point is.
Oh my God. So who would you say would benefit from yoga? Everyone. I'm sure.
Absolutely everyone would benefit. But something secret, well, it's not really, okay, it's a semi-secret, you can say, is that yoga is not just a physical practice. On the market today, people think, okay, yoga, there's hot yoga, chair yoga, power yoga, whatever. Or, there's so many different types. But actually, this practice originated like thousands of years ago in ancient India. And it's not a practice just for physical exercise, right? It's a practice for self realization, to go toward that infinite space, that higher consciousness, that higher vibration that, these have become such buzzwords on social media. But nobody, honestly, I did some research, nobody really knows like how to get there, what that means. Like there are people who talk about it, but they take you to a certain level and they themselves can't, or they don't go beyond that, right? But it's interesting because when you go deeper into yoga, when you read the scriptures, yes, yoga has scriptures, you see all these parallels with modern religions, right? Religion will say we are all one. There is nothing except for, it's all consciousness and we're just what, and yoga scriptures say the exact same thing. The difference with yoga, well, I haven't read all the religious scriptures, but the yoga scriptures will tell you exactly what to do to get there. And so, yoga, this aspect of yoga is really accessible to those who are seeking something more, right? Like seeking the mysteries of the universe. They're seeking to maximize human potential. They want something more than just, what more than the mundane, right? They want to live a life that's more fulfilling. And not just that, they want to ascend. Like you said, they want stillness and silence and peace. And you know what? That stillness and silence and peace is actually your true nature. Everything that happens here is just at the surface.
Oh my God. Amazing, amazing words.
I'm so passionate. I can go on for days.
Please do, please do. I wouldn't say days, but a few more minutes. But I can definitely see how it benefits, and I've experienced that for myself. But I felt when I was doing the practice, I felt the first time that I did ever, I hated it. I felt like it was too rigid. I felt like it was too much pressure to be on a certain position and trying to achieve the level of stretchiness that I would have wanted. But that I came to the realization it was my own pressure. So the practice was just mirroring the pressure that I was putting on myself. Now I can see that, but at that time I was just saying, "Oh my God, I want this to be over. I want this to be over."
Yeah.
And it was just so powerful, and I got so much clarity from doing more and more, and I just fell in love with it. But yeah, and it this brings me to the surrendering stage, and I believe in a lot of the universe laws and how we need to have faith, and we need to I don't specifically follow a certain religion, but I do believe in the universe. I do believe in energy. I do believe in that oneness of our of us as a society and ourselves as a human being. And so surrendering to me has been one of my most difficult challenges, but the one that is most rewarding. So
Mhm.
I would like to know your input on this whole thing of surrendering. How have you find it in your own life, and how has it been for you so far?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say honestly that surrender is, like you said, it's a part. It's a step, it's at every step of the journey. It is, without surrender, what is there, you know? So coming back to this idea of higher consciousness, you can say that, to reach a higher state, you have to let go of the lower states, right? I
Mhm.
mean, this is, if you're running a race, like, you can't be carrying like 50,000 things with you, right? Like, you want to go. And, not to say that this is a race, it's absolutely not. Like, everyone will get there in their own time. But that time, like that pace, is really decided by the extent that you can surrender, right? Like, you have to surrender to live. Like, you wouldn't be able to sleep if you didn't surrender your day and say, okay, I'm done thinking about this. I want to sleep now. So at every stage, and you know what I found is that when you feel the most resistance to doing something, it's because your mind is fighting against that inner knowing, because the mind wants to hold on to what it's familiar to. But to be able to ascend, to be able to move forward on the spiritual path, you have to let go of that. You're going into the unknown, and it's scary and it's beautiful, but you have to let go.
Yeah.
And faith is hard. It doesn't come easily. I mean, you just have to take a deep breath and let go and just trust that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust is a big one as well. Yeah, I see a lot of people not trusting themselves and not believing in themselves, and going very much to the external world, looking for validation, doing a lot of people pleasing, and that goes also hand in hand with the setting boundaries and whatnot. So would you say that how could yoga help these people?
Hmm. That's a really good question. And I would say that the way that yoga works, so, okay, so this comes into the mind. And if you kind of look at the way that the mind works, not in Western science, but in yoga philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a couple different, mm, so the mind has tendencies. Okay, so it has things that it likes to do. You can say that this is also part of your ego, right? Like your
Yeah,
persona, who you are, right? So,
mine is Georgina. It truly is. My ego's name is Georgina.
well, hello, Georgina. Yeah, so, you know, egos have this, or Georgina,
Yeah.
and but so there are these tendencies, right, to these ideas. So let's see, a common way to think about them are self-limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
These are parts of your personality, right? Because they're just things that you do, they're ingrained into who you are. So, when you see these patterns in yourself, like people pleasing and really caring what other people think, and behaving in that way, or negative self-talk as well as a big one, or doubt, self-doubt, and doubt in others. All of these are things that are not only self-limiting patterns or stories you tell yourself, they have become a part of your identity. Like, that's how much that the mind has gone in this rut and said, oh my gosh, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm not good enough? What's going to happen? It's gone deep enough that it's become a part of who you are. So the practice of yoga and all 8 limbs of yoga, they really work to release all of this. So if you think about what we were talking about before, about, there's the higher self, and then there's the self that, you see in the mirror. There are many layers in between these two levels. And so when you practice yoga, it works on all of these levels to cleanse all of these impurities in your consciousness. And as you cleanse them, that's when you can approach higher states of consciousness. That's when you can approach the silence and the stillness that you crave.
Mm, yes, absolutely. And surrendering and having faith that we'll get there. All of it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what would you say someone that says that they don't have time to practice yoga, or it's too challenging physically on them? What would you tell them?
There's a concept, actually. There's a concept. I would say two things. There's a concept in yoga, and it's called tapas. So this is a Sanskrit word, and what it is you can call it discipline. You can also call it bearing opposite values. So it's like, it's like, you do something because you know it's good for you, even though it may not be the most pleasurable thing. Like you eat bitter green vegetables because you know they're good for you, even though they're bitter and they don't taste amazing. But you eat them anyways, right? And also, like, brushing your teeth is a good example, because when we were kids, it was like, what is this? Like, you know, but you did it anyways because otherwise your teeth would not still be in your mouth. So it's kind of like that. In the beginning, there's going to be a lot of resistance. And, that's true for me too, even though now I practice every single day. But in the beginning, I was in the same boat as you. It's like, this is hard. Like, I feel like my leg doesn't move that way. Like, is that even possible? But the more that you practice, at some point I was like, oh my gosh, my mind is quiet. This is really, it might be difficult physically, but mentally it's amazing. And so, you just have to push through it. It's, again, it's a tendency of the mind, and as you push through it, it happens. And to answer your other question, it gets easier. Sorry, it gets easier. And to answer your other question about people who say that they don't have time for yoga, I would say, there's this quote that has gone around social so much. It's this image of this Buddhist monk. He's just like sitting meditating. And above it says, if you were to say that you don't have time to spend 20 minutes meditating per day, I would say that you should spend 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's interesting because that too is something that's happening in the mind, right? Like the mind is in a hurry, but if you look around you, like, why is it in a hurry? Nothing else. Nature doesn't hurry, but it's always on time.
Even more so that nature has no time. The human beings created the notion of time, isn't it? So nature has cycles. So it's important to understand our own cycles as well. For instance, for me, my own experience is that I know when I feel most energized. I know when I want to exercise. I know when I don't want to exercise. And I just respect my body, because if I'm pressuring myself too much, I will resent my own self, and it's just I will feel guilty if I'm not exercising or I'm not eating the way that I wanted to eat. So it's just releasing that pressure. If not for yoga, meditating, other practices that can really help clear the mind and just give some silence and peace. But would you say it's possible to do like a 5-minute yoga?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can just sit and, move your joints, get some movement in. It helps. It really, really helps.
Yeah.
Any movement helps.
Yes, because movement is that is energy in flow, isn't it? So when we
Mhm.
do move, we are moving that energy.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? Actually, I have a friend who was telling me recently that she started meditating, and just within her meditation, like she's sitting there with her eyes closed, and all of a sudden, like her body wants to move and stretch her neck, move her shoulders. And so it's very innate, right? Like it's built into
Mm.
our system. We weren't built to sit on the couch for, X hours per day. We were moving all the time back then.
Yeah. And it's so funny you say that, because that's another misconception that I had with meditating, where I felt like meditating, I needed to stay in with cross-legged and just saying, and just being in that position for 20 minutes, half an hour. And it's just so it's my back just hurt so much, and I started to feel uncomfortable, and then my mind would say, oh, I'm so uncomfortable, why am I doing this? And it's just so much that it was just defeating the purpose. So when I do feel that need to move, you know what, I just move, I just stretch, I just dance, I just do whatever, because there are other forms of meditating. There are people that go for jogs, that people, you say you're not a runner person, but there are people who are, right? So that's their own form of meditation. So everything is absolutely valid. But I would
Mhm.
definitely say to everyone listening, give yoga a try, especially with Parm. She's amazing. She has such a beautiful energy. And I would like to hear what other practices do you do yourself, or and that you would think that it would benefit everyone listening besides yoga.
So I definitely do, I meditate every single day as well, and I do breath work. So they're all encompassed in yoga, but they are, you can consider them to be separate. Sometimes I do go for jogs, have to get that cardio in. I hate it, but I love myself afterwards because I get a good sweat. So I do that sometimes. And sometimes one of my favorite things to do is just free form movement. Like, I'll pull out my mat. I usually like to have, I like to dim the lights just because there's less stimuli outside, and then just move, whatever my body wants to do. It ends up being like a dance, and it's just really, really nice. I absolutely love that.
Amazing.
um, yeah, yeah, those are physical practices that I do. Is there anything else that you meant, like any spiritual practice?
Yeah, if you do anything else, any spiritual, what spiritual practices do you do?
Mm, yeah, mostly those. All within, the compass of yoga.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I love breath work. To me, it has been the things that have, whew, it's just surreal how it works, how our body can do what it does. And sometimes we have so little faith in what our body can do. So it's just that whole thing of surrendering.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, one more thing, actually, I thought it would be interesting to mention.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you've tried Ayurveda, but Ayurveda is more than postures now. I feel like a broken record sometimes. Yoga is more than postures. Ayurveda is more than food. Ayurveda is a system of life, right? It's a philosophy. So they also have these treatments, and oh my god, incredible. I stayed in an ashram for a while. This was between, like, after I quit my job and before I started my company, and they had an Ayurvedic institute, and they would, give massages. Some, like, you can purchase massages there, and they didn't call them massages, they're treatments, and you go and you lie down and you let them do their thing. I'm telling you, you disappear. Like, it's the most incredible thing in the world. You come out feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. It's just so good. So anyone who's interested in Ayurveda, I would definitely say Ayurvedic treatments. Make sure you find someone who does it like authentically and all of that, because of course, you know, yeah. So Ayurveda is a good one.
Never tried it, but definitely will. I don't think here in England, I've never seen in England. Definitely in Portugal, I've seen, but not here. Have to keep my eyes peeled for that. But yeah.
Definitely. So good.
So, what advice would you give to someone that is listening that has never done yoga in their life, that has never meditated in their life, that is stressed, that is just feeling this pressure, feeling like they need to set up some boundaries and they don't know what to do? What would you tell them?
So, so from my experience, I found that, going down this like stepping out of your comfort zone is terrifying, right? Like, seeing all these wellness providers online who advocate, breath work, meditation, yoga, other spiritual practices. Um, I would say that it's really scary. And also, sometimes from the outside, it seems like, hey, that's never going to work for me, right? Like, the mind has this tendency to say, maybe it works for them, but it's never going to work for me. And it has this tendency to isolate. But the truth is that it does work, right? Like, that's why it's become such a huge thing on the market today. And I would say that, beyond this, um, what did you call that? Like resistance to doing it is also a fear, right? Like it's not going to work for me, right? Or I don't want to put myself out there in that way and then fail. And it's honestly, it's a real fear to have, and it's very, very understandable. But it goes back to what we were talking about before, right? Where it's like the heart wants something, but the mind is resisting. The mind is creating these, fabricating these stories of this is not going to work.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, like you have to look at your health, right? Like if you can't sleep, or if you're stressed, or if you can't stop thinking about how much you hate your life, then you need to do something different. You need to step out of that rut, that routine that you've created for yourself. Because personally, having been there, I know like this crazy conflict that happens, that you're so used to one thing but you're so afraid of doing something different. But honestly, you are taken care of. Like you are so taken care of. And whether or not you believe in the universe, it is there and it is watching you, it is holding you, it is guiding you forward by the hand. And it knows exactly what you're going through. So just take a deep breath, find someone that you resonate with, and try something. It's scary only for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. That was so powerful. I was just thinking of my own life and applying that own advice to myself. and
Yeah.
and just another example that I wanted to share is just every time that I hit record, I was telling Parm, I always feel nervous, always, even though people just say, oh, you're so confident, it seems so natural, it just flows, and everyone, oh, I love to be on your podcast. But the reality is I feel nervous every single time. And if I were to
Mhm.
let my mind or Georgina take over and just say, no, actually, what you want to do is sit on the sofa and just watch something on the telly. No, the thing is, you want to push, you want to go towards what lights you up. And I'm sure this lights me up. This is where I want to be talking to you and just sharing this content. And but the initial stage is always that fear and just that gut feeling that is just like, oh no, no, no. But then we go, we try, we surrender, we embrace the unknown, we embrace the fear, and it all goes away and it all just becomes light. So
I
thank
love
you so
that.
much for being here and sharing your message. It was truly, truly surreal. Everything you said, all of the wisdom that you shared. And I just feel like it's so, so easy to talk to you and you just ground me. I can feel that energy pulling me back to earth, pulling me back to nature. And if it wasn't already 9:30 in the evening, I think I would go out and I would just, maybe I still will. Who knows?
Yeah, go
You
for it.
inspired me to maybe go out to nature and just connect with, become one with the universe, which we all are. So,
Yeah.
how can we show you some love? How can everyone listening go and follow you on social media, work with you? Tell us everything.
Absolutely. So my handle on Instagram is my main social account, and my handle is Parms Yoga. That's Parms Yoga. And my website is the same thing, parmsyoga.com. And what I would really, really advise, especially for those people who are at the brink and they don't know where to start, who to turn to, if you go to my website, the very first thing that you'll see is an opt in for a free yoga class. So, this yoga class is going to weave together all the three things that we talked about mainly: breath work, posture practice, and meditation. So, you're going to get a taste of this ancient practice in a modern format. So check that out. And if you want to work with me even more, like if you want to go past that, I do have an online course for people who are exactly at that point. They know that they're out of alignment, but they're afraid to let go. They're afraid to surrender and move forward. So send me a DM about that and I can give you all the details.
Ooh, amazing. I will leave everything in the show notes. And would you like to just summarize maybe three key points of our conversation today?
Sure. First and foremost, I would say that yoga is more than a physical practice. Second, I would say it is absolutely normal to be afraid. It is okay. Embrace that fear because that fear is guiding you. It is guiding you in the direction that you need to go. And third, try yoga. It's a really,
I
really
love it.
good practice.
With you, try yoga with Parm.
With me. Yes, absolutely. Parmsyoga.com.
No, I love everything you shared. I love your wisdom. I love your energy, your light. And I'm truly, truly grateful that you're here with us today. And thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to connect with you.
Oh,
You have such a beautiful glow. I'm loving looking at you.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And to everyone, I will see you on the next episode. Bye. If you got to this point and want to know how you can get your free inner peace and abundance hypnosis, simply go onto iTunes and leave a review on the podcast. Take a screenshot of your review before you click send and email that screenshot to contact@mindfulintrovert.com, and I will send it to you so that you can start enjoying a more peaceful and abundant life. For more inspired content, follow me on Instagram at Coach Joanna Calado. And if you're looking to work with me one-on-one, you can reach me on Instagram as well, or you can send me a voice message here on the podcast. I will leave everything in the show notes so that you don't miss a thing, and I will see you on the next episode. And until then, slow down and trust yourself. Bye.